Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Cicada here. So, we got another video for you today. We're going to talk about some of the specs that were dropped yesterday all over social media. And it's quite interesting because if these leaks pan out to be true, this actually might, well, it's most certainly going to be Nintendo's most powerful console. So, without further ado, let's get into this video. Hey, well, by the way, let me stop right there. I just started doing this. I know it's like probably a dime a dozen, but if you'd like to support the channel, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. Let me know what I'm doing. Let me know if I'm doing bad or good or what I could do better. Just let me know. Any feedback is appreciated. But yeah. So anyway, let's get into this this whole thing. So yesterday, there was a lot of speculation that, obviously we're all anticipating that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be announced for a reveal tomorrow. So announcement today for tomorrow. That hasn't happened yet. It is just about 8 o'clock Eastern time in the US as of this recording. So we really don't know exactly what's going to go down. So let's take a look at what we know in terms of what these specs are. Let me bring up what I have from the Fami boards. So let me bring this up on the screen here. This is what they're saying that the console is going to be. They're saying that it's going to be essentially like 11 times more powerful than the Switch 1, which is actually kind of crazy if this is true. So I want to see if I can find, let me check real quick and let me see if I can find the actual spec sheet, because I did want to show that to you guys. We definitely have, oh, here we go. We got it. We got an image right here. So let's bring this up. This basically, this says that we're going to have an ARM Cortex A78C with 8 cores, unknown cache sizes. The GPU is going to be an NVIDIA T239 Ampere, which there's a lot of debate about this. We know it's a T39 that's related to an NVIDIA T234. We do know it's Ampere. But the RTX 20 series, 30 series, is it 20 or 30 series? Probably realistically close to 20 series. Some people have been saying 30 series. I'm not really quite sure about that. So, it's got 1 graphics processing cluster. It's got 12 streaming multiprocessors, 1,534 CUDA cores, 6 texture processing clusters, 48 Gen 3 tensor cores, 2 RTX ray tracing cores. It's got 12 gigs of LPDDR5 memory, which is pretty good. What's the speed of the memory? I don't know if they show us what the speed of the memory is here. Oh, here we go. So the power profiles. In handheld, you're going to have a CPU clock of 1100 megahertz, give or take 0.8. And then your GPU is going to be running at 561 megahertz with a 1.72 teraflops peak, which is quite wild. Because considering the original Switch didn't even get to a teraflop at all. So this thing is going to be, what? How much was this? Well, we'll go back to that other. We'll go back to this one let's go back to this. Let's go back to this one. So we know that the Switch handheld was 192 gigaflops. The Switch 1 docked was 393 gigaflops. The Switch 2 handheld is going to be 1.7 teraflops. So like this comment says, holding a Switch 2 in handheld mode is at least 4 times more powerful than a Switch 1 in dock mode. Kind of crazy. So yeah, that's just handheld. And then obviously in dock mode, we're going to just see a huge boost in power in the power profile, because it looks like from here, we're going to get a lower CPU clock speed, give or take 100 megahertz, but we're going to get almost double the amount of GPU, pushing out over 3 teraflops, and RAM speed is going to go from 2133 megahertz all the way up to 3200 megahertz. So this is actually a pretty impressive system. For handheld, we're not talking about a console like an Xbox Series X or PS5, but this is a hybrid console. This console has a lot of considerations to factor in, including battery life. Mobile devices are a totally different beast than regular computing that has an access to a source of power and doesn't have to worry about draining a battery, right? So this is all pretty cool. But look at this. Just look at the if this pans out to be true, this is going to be quite a powerful system. By far the most powerful Nintendo console that's ever been released, right? So there's just so much stuff going on here. The thing that's really going to be impressive to see, because we're hearing a lot of stuff about, I mean, Nate the Hate said that we're going to get Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was a PS4 game, believable, and we're getting Rebirth. So if we can get those games, we obviously get Final Fantasy 16. We can get so many AAA games. They're saying Metaphor ReFantazio is going to be a launch window title that's going to be on the system. So this thing seems like it's going to be getting crazy new games. That's quite the surprise, right? Like we didn't think it was going to be that intense. We thought like maybe it would be similar to what the Switch 1 was able to do. Like you were able to get those impossible ports like The Witcher 3 on there, but you weren't able to get like modern AAA games. DLSS may be a game changer here. The DLSS and ray tracing will probably allow the system to achieve visuals that are pretty much 4K without needing that raw power like the PS5 or the Series X have. So this thing is going to be on par, maybe. It's seeming like it's plausible that this thing could be on par with a base PS4 and a Xbox Series S. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, and basically I just want to kind of like go into depth about how this new Nintendo console is going to stack up against some of the competition here, because like we've been hearing that this thing was going to be as powerful as a PS4 Pro or an Xbox Series X. How does that really hold up? So we know the PS4 Pro, it was released in 2016 when the Switch came out essentially, and it does have a higher like number of teraflops. It's at like 4.2 or something like that. And the Switch 2 is obviously gonna be 3. So is it a 1-to-1 comparison? Definitely not. You have a actual console that has a power supply and a constant source of power to power that system, and then you have a handheld console, hybrid console that can be docked, have a better source of power, but also needs to be able to go go out in the field, go out in the go, and be able to give you some kind of battery life that's going to be worth taking it around with you, right? So it's got to be like on par with a phone. You got to get at least like 2 to 3 hours of like intense gameplay on this thing, and it looks like this thing is going to be able to do it, and it's going to be able to do it in such a way that with the DLSS and the ray tracing, it's going to be able to basically upscale those resolutions or make them look really good on screen. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see. The Series S is also about 4 teraflops. So it really kind of edges out with the Switch 2 in docked raw power. But there's definitely a catch with the Series S, because it relies purely on brute force and resolution and graphics, where the Switch 2 with the DLSS, once again, it's going to be using AI to produce those high-quality visuals without needing that level of raw power. And the efficiency also means that it can punch way above its weight, and it's going to deliver performance closer to what you would expect, the PS4 Pro, or maybe even, something newer, like a PS5, base PS5. We'll see, because, Rebirth doesn't run super well on a base PS5. PS5 Pro is another story. I do think DLSS is possibly going to level the playing field here. I think it may be Nintendo's secret weapon this generation. The DLSS technology is going to be the next big thing. We're reaching a point in photorealistic graphics at this point where you cannot see the graphic fidelity just based on compression on YouTube and videos you're watching on inferior screens. you need to see these things in a certain environment. You need to have like an OLED display. You need to have a high refresh rate. You need to have all these things to feel that benefit of all of these new features that DLSS is going to provide. And I do, even on an LCD screen, because the Switch 2 is reportedly LCD, not OLED. I think this is going to surprise everybody. So it's quite the jump. Essentially, Nintendo has found a way to leapfrog past some of the limitations of traditional hardware design, which is crazy. This is like almost like a Nintendo 64 situation where Nintendo is out in the front here in terms of like, you know, innovation and using newer and better technologies in a more efficient manner, and not just like throwing raw power and just like everything's just raw. It's more about optimization and efficiency, which is a really cool way to look at technology in 2025 and going forward, because mobile technology is the future, whether we like it or not. PCs, consoles are great, but Nintendo definitely is onto something here. But yeah, when you combine DLSS with the Switch 2's hardware, Nintendo is going to be just poised to deliver a hybrid console that's surprisingly competitive with basically the current series of consoles, like the Xbox Series S and the PlayStation. Now, the thing is, the one thing about PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, there was such a crossover of titles. Many, and not only that, there are many titles that could still run on the PS4 that are just not being made for the PS4 because that's a generation ago. But that doesn't mean the PS4 couldn't handle those games. The PS4 had really amazing games. If the Switch can hit that level of the PS4 Pro, we're talking about, you know, Nintendo's going to just change the game when this gets announced. That's why I really don't think Nintendo cares too much about these leaks, because at the end of the day, they're just going to sell like hotcakes. But yeah, I think that's all for today's video. We'll see if there's an actual tweet today. That's gonna be interesting to see. Hopefully we don't all look silly at 8:30, which is actually in like 20 minutes. So I'll catch you guys all later. Please like and subscribe. Drop a comment if you like the video. I really appreciate you all stopping by, and I'll catch you on the next video later.